So we are live now. We are recording, and we will be publishing both the raw video and audio, and also a summary of what's going on in the video that we're going to do tonight. So anybody who's taken the time to join us, thank you. I see one and a couple in the chat room there talking. Yeah, well, you know who I am, TechAdept, and John Nash there, our wallet master and the cornerstone of the ReddCoin community. You're laughing at me.
I was going to say, oh, shucks.
Yes, exactly. Been having some good conversations with people the last couple of days about ReddCoin too, and we'll talk about that a bit later. The focus today is mostly going to be on the wallet and sort of what we've been polishing up and the bits and pieces that remain and what to expect. A lot of that we would love anybody who's in the room or in the community, really. If you have questions or thoughts, do feel free to jump up here and say hello. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, John, to take lead on wallet talk.
Yes, awesome. Well, thanks, Jay. It's good to be having another catch up. I think we skipped last week through a number of factors, but that's allowed me to progress something that was kind of in the back of my list of activities to do for quite some time, and that's actually being able to stake multiple wallets in the core wallet. So that's been our principal activity in the last week or so, getting that finished up into a workable state. And we'll talk about that shortly. And I guess I'm just going through a bit of an agenda list here for what I'm going to talk about. Also, we will need some help from our good Reddheads out there who would like to help us translate. We'll push through a new translation file the next few days to get that tied up, so that, that's a line for our next release. I know I was playing around with the Teleflex translation software last week, and a few of the Spanish folks jumped on there and made some updates, which is very appreciated. Thank you, guys. But we do have another one we're going to push out. I'm also looking at how we can possibly leverage some of the Bitcoin translations and pull them in. It's I think we can do that programmatically. So unfortunately, we'll obviously have the Bitcoin reference in there, which will need adjustments. But using some powers of programming, software development, push those original translation files up to the Transiflex, and then have the community translate those. So fingers crossed I can get to that. We'll make that work. But the fallback case is we'll use our existing translation files. The other thing that we're going to do with the wallet as we get closer to releasing it is some of the features on the blockchain we actually had enabled for quite some time in testnet, but because of the current status of the wallet, where we've had it set as a release, not only a release candidate, but test software or beta software, people have been reluctant to run it. So we're going to change that switch to for the next release will be an actual release candidate, so release candidate 2, and we're going to be removing the beta software aspect of it. So we can remove the warning, and people can feel a little bit more comfortable in using it. And to be honest, I use our new wallet exclusively now on both testnet and mainnet. So from a developer's point of view, I'm quite comfortable to run our software on the blockchain, including staking. But I've been a little bit careful there, and I'm going to talk to that next point very shortly, because in staking we do introduce a new method of monitoring blockchain changes. So we've spent a bit of time where I think we're up to block version 5, and that was managed through what was called supermajority. That's been superseded now with version bits, and a part of that process was to introduce 2 small changes to the blockchain. One of them being, and we have spoken about this in the past, those changes being heightened Coinbase and the time lock feature in transactions. So both those features have been floating around on mainnet for a good 12 months, almost 12 months, since the last version we put out. But on testnet, it's actually been running for a similar time period, but it is actually activated. So on testnet, it's up and functional. And while the first one is not super critical to anybody other than just the blockchain security, the second one, the time lock feature for transactions, is the a requirement for doing cross-chain swaps and things like that. So Komodo Wallet, which we've been working with over the last several months actually now, they've integrated ReddCoin, but there's no swaps. So the wallet's integrated, but swaps is not. Once we get the time lock feature in, they'll be able to activate that. So as a part of that, where I was going with is for this next release, the full release, we'll call it the full release candidate, is extend that time activation period for another 12 months, so that when we activate, we got 12 months for those two features to come on board. They are backwardly compatible, so while it's not activated, if you're staking, those features will not interrupt what's happening otherwise. So they're the small things we've done. So just going back to what we were working on the last week or so, is introducing staking multiple wallets. So to explain a little bit, the core wallet actually supports running multiple wallets in the application, whereas if you're on version 3, which most people would be, it's supported running just the one wallet and to change your wallets. If you're using multiple wallets, you'd have to shut down, unload it, and set up a new wallet file to load up, which was quite tedious. With a new core wallet, it allows you to create multiple wallets and launch those at startup, and you can flip between them. So, I guess a classic example of that would be if personal funds and business funds, or personal funds and savings, whatever the case may be. You can set up wallets to disseminate between the two fund pools that you might have, or it might be even be a wallet of watch addresses. So you don't even have private keys at all in there. You might be looking at other addresses and you just want to monitor those. So Core Wallet supports creating those different wallets. We have a wallet wizard in there to be able to create the original BIP32 style wallet, which is just a seed phrase, seed word, seed ID, no keywords. BIP39 we introduced, which allows you to have a seed phrase between 12 and 24 words, depending on how the bit depth that you want for security. And additionally, on top of that, we also put BIP44. So Core Wallet supports all that, and staking. So you can stake across all those different wallet formats. You can even transfer funds between those wallets if you like. You want to transfer some money from your savings account to your spending account, for example. As a basic analogy, you can do that. And up until just now, up until this latest changes, you could only stake against the first wallet that was loaded. So that was one problem that I wanted to address before we put this release out, so that people weren't limited or had misunderstanding on how that operated. So now we've introduced being able to stake multiple wallets that are loaded with some caveats around that. And I'll come to those caveats in a minute. And with some basic UI function, I actually won't say UI, but functionality that allows you to manage those wallets. So in essence, normally or previously with the core wallet, you would start it up and it would just start staking on the default wallet that was loaded. Now it will start up and it will attempt to start staking. So if you've got no wallets loaded at all, obviously you can't stake because there's no wallets. Then you will load up the wallets that you want to load, and then type a command in to start staking, and it'll actually spin up a number of threads to manage each of those wallets that are loaded up. So at the moment, it's all done through the RPC or the console, only because I'm still trying to work out what that user experience would be in the graphical interface, because there's no good place to actually put a a checkbox for a wallet to stake. I have some ideas, but I just want to get this version out in front of people, in front of faces, and get some feedback. Really, took a little bit of time to think about how to achieve this. Staking the core wallets was pretty straightforward because it's just adding extra threads and loading the wallets into those threads. But how to interface into the user experiences in a nice way, one that makes sense, has been a little bit more challenging. So love to get a little bit of feedback out of everybody once we get that out in front of people. What else was I going to talk about? Spoke about translations, features. I think that's probably the main 3 features I had on my list for this call. I guess the other question is when. Look, in all honesty, I think we're very close. Like I would be happy to put it out there today. It's just really didn't spit and polish on there to make it even more so. If anybody is interested in trying the wallet, they can certainly. If you're comfortable with compiling, you can compile the wallet off our source code. It is there in the repository. But if you want a binary, I think the next release, I'll give it a couple more weeks and we'll have the full release out there to face. As I said, the main change I want to put in there is finishing off the version bits to extend that another 12 months, because that is critical. Once we turn that on, it's a little bit hard to back out once people start using the wallet. So that's one thing I wanted to address. One more thing that we had in there, we improved, was the just checking updates. That was kind of a bit funky. We worked a bit funky last time. Now we're got a little bit more seamless ability to check GitHub to see what versions are being announced, and that's just based off GitHub tags, and also the download path now correlates with that pathing information. So we're sort of set some parameters around that, so that for each version that we put out there, we can check GitHub, get a result back from that, check our current running version, and also provide a link to the download page. So hopefully, moving forward, you'll be able to get some announcements for that. And we also put that announcement bar down in the status bar as opposed to a warning on the screen. So previously it was a warning, which looked kind of a little bit messy in amongst other warnings. So we're going to put that new version is available down in the status bar, so that actually as soon as we're going to, we've done it already. It's there. It's available now. And it just makes more sense to sit down there, along with being able to check from the menu. So yeah, I think that's kind of what we've been doing the last couple of weeks since we last spoke, and I anticipate probably around two or 3 weeks before we get everything out there and finalized. A little bit will come down to translations and how that's going, but I think we will probably more than likely, since there's a release candidate, pull the trigger and put it out in front of people regardless. So yes.
We do have, if you take a look in the pinned messages here in Telegram, if you do want to contribute in any language that you speak, a translation, just click on the Transifex link. That'll take you right to it, and you can see what needs to be translated. It really is helpful. If you speak a language that's not commonly spoken and you want support in ReddCoin for that, we really do need your help, genuinely. It's just little sentences of words in your language and in English that need to be confirmed and checked back and forth. It's not a lot of work, and it really is a bit of a passion project here that we're all required to support if we're going to benefit from it. So if you speak something other than English, let's hear from you. I think we've got a lot of the major ones covered, but we do have a pretty widespread and global audience. So if you want people in your country or in your community to be able to interact with the ReddCoin wallet and the other stuff that we're doing, again, we need your help, or we'll replace you all with AIs. No.
The interface is not too hard to get your head around. The web, it's a web-based application, And really, it could be simply, even proofreading some of the translations. Everybody speaks, each of us speaks our own language a little bit differently. So trying to get that value, those parameters around, what is the meaning of the translation of this file sometimes needs a little bit of review. You might be happy enough just to flick through a few of those and either offer suggestions to make changes. The interface handles all that, so you don't need to necessarily make the change. You can offer suggestions or become a proofreader. Just reach out. I think if you want to make changes, you'll need to sign up on the website to become a member of the TransEffects community. But once you're in there, you just nominate the language that you are interested in translating, and one of the admins will, just check that off and enable it, and then you can start the journey, translation journey.
Absolutely. And on the subject of wallets, we are obviously, while we build out the core wallet, that's the cornerstone of our blockchain, we are working with some outside teams to get ReddCoin support built as closely into other wallets as possible. Wally ID is certainly one that they're just kind of fixing the last bug that was discovered, and hopefully we'll be live in that wallet shortly. Securus Wallet is another third party that's just doing their last bits of testing. If you're familiar with the Change Angel Exchange and the team there, and some of the developers at Digibyte have combined forces to create Securus. So they are friends of the ReddCoin family and the Reddhead. So if you want to take a look at that, SECURUS, I believe. You can find them on Telegram as well. ReddCoin is already supported in their beta version, so take a look, do some depositing and sending, and let them know if there are any problems. From my own testing, it's been seamless and beautiful. And a comment actually to that end that I just wanted to build on what John had just said. If you have some sort of an eye towards the interface of our wallet, of our core wallet, if you've got expertise in that elusive UI, UX, artistic sort of how do you make it work and look beautiful, we absolutely need your insight and your expertise. I know Dima's out there, and he's threatened to help a couple of times, so I'm going to call him out by name. But there are definitely talents out there that are as yet untapped. If you really want to help us not just prettify the wallet, but make it more functional and usable, as well as the other ideas and projects that we're working on, we definitely need that level of contribution. John has his skill set. I have mine. The more expertise we get towards things like that neither of us are really expert in, the easier all the work goes. So to that end, UI, UX, or testing or QA, really all of that helps speed the process and helps helps let us make a better product. And truthfully, the core wallet needs a bit of a facelift and needs to be prettier and more functional. We've tried to address the more functional, but takes a village. So if you feel like I'm looking at you in that UI, UX, and performance side, reach out to John, reach out to myself or anybody else. And on the topic of people helping out with ReddCoin, I do absolutely want to give a quick shout out to the rebirth of our social media team. There's a number of individuals that had taken some time off for real life sorts of, I don't know, they seem to have real lives. I've heard about it. But real life stuff and jobs and families and all that. We've actually just had a bit of a renaissance, rebirth of our social media team. If anybody would like to be involved in that, either creating content or helping publish on channels and really getting the word out about what it is ReddCoin's doing, again, just step up and let us know. If you can create graphics or content or writing, especially with the AI tools that are out there now, it's become so much easier. It's actually a lot of fun. Speak to myself, speak to KP or HP or Roni Tony, the trifecta of the ReddCoin social media team. I'm sorry, today's been a bit chaotic for me, so I'm a little scattered, and I know I'm forgetting stuff. But kudos to them for reorganizing. We're going to be really putting a focus on that aspect of promoting the project, apart from the development that John and I are continuously focused on. And the other piece of that, obviously, is our website. We are struggling to obviously get that up to speed and where it needs to be. It's the same request as the core wallet. If you've got some web skills, we could certainly use you. Otherwise, we will get there inch by inch and foot by foot, meter by meter, incrementally. But Lord, it would be nice to have some more people pitching in to share the work. We can only ask. There's no demands. You can give what you can give, and we'll love you for it. To that end, ReddCoin is a popular project. I think somebody said on Twitter recently, we're not the biggest or the fastest or the best, but we are unique and special, and there's something to that, and that's why we do what we do. We need you. If you're attracted by what we've built here, you're part of it. So get your ass in a seat and get to work, I think, is the operative comment. That was a bunch of talking, John. Back to you. I do have a couple of things, but I don't want to monopolize.
Yeah, thanks, Jay. No, I don't have too much to offer for other than on the development side. It's just to mirror what you were saying. If you want to get involved, there's plenty of opportunity. There's the sign up criteria is pretty small. It's if you have an interest, then that's about as far as it extends. And most of our stuff now is done under the GitHub or on with Git, so version control. So you can't really mess things up too much because it needs to be reviewed. And so you make changes or suggest changes and or make those changes, but they won't get incorporated into the project until it goes through a little bit of review. So I think the first step of the journey is usually the hardest. It's once you've started and realize what you can do, it's pretty straightforward to get involved. More than welcome. If you have questions, reach out. I'm more likely to be on Discord than Telegram. Telegram's my from a developer's point of view, it's very hard to follow because you look away from the screen for 5 minutes and things have changed. It's a bit hard to track Telegram, but you can find me on Discord more readily.
Absolutely. Oh, and that actually reminds me of something. If there is anyone out there that would like to be a Discord moderator, not necessarily for us, although we can always use Discord moderators and other folks who know how to run the channels and keep things going and keep the scam and horribleness out. I actually had an offer from somebody that they asked that we not name names, but it's a project that's a bit of an up and comer and is looking for some volunteer Discord admins to begin with, and looking for some grant money to fund a tech team to do that professionally. If I have the time, I will be helping out there. But certainly, if anybody out there would like to be and has the skills to be a Discord moderator, administrator for this group, send me a message privately, and I will let you know who we're talking about and why I think it's a hell of an opportunity. One other thing, since we did talk about both internally, and I've mentioned to some people that we were close to launch. We were looking at a solution to wrap the ReddCoin into a wrap token for inclusion in Web3 wallets and really to take advantage of a lot of the infrastructure that's been built in Web3 and DeFi. We mapped out an initial tentative plan and then sort of a longer term if that proves itself out as a pilot project. And unfortunately, the company/exchange that we were going to be working with, I don't actually think, John, I told you this because it happened yesterday. They sadly have decided to be closing their doors, and they won't be able to help us with that, either the listing they had promised or the wrapping and secondary and all of this. So plans are simply temporarily on hold until we can find the right independent entities to help us do that, because in terms of distributing trust, obviously, if you have a wrap token pegged to our ReddCoin, you don't want the ReddCoin team alone in charge of it. So we've tried to distribute that risk and responsibility. And of course, this industry keeps changing and going through upheaval and folks. Okay, so all of that to say, and we will be documenting that a little bit more, but that is why we don't announce things before they're set in stone, because that.
The stones can crumble.
Yeah, exactly. So we are definitely trying to still solve that particular problem. We've got some great partners and members of the community actually that have some expertise there that are kicking in their thoughts and helping us design it. But ultimately, when you can't rely on partners, then that makes it a little hard. So not a problem. But I did want to mention that, and we are going to do a transcript of this talk for publication. So it will go a little bit wider. A question from Alex. I actually Oliver would have the answer to that question. The question was asked by Alex there in the Telegram channel as to whether something had changed with the tip bot in Telegram. It seemed like stakes weren't being delivered as expected, and I honestly do not have an answer to that. Oliver should, and I should have an answer for that, but we would need to ask Oliver. So, and I believe
that would be a two-layered answer, actually. So I'm not quite sure how the tip bot is working and allocating those funds. But certainly from a staking point of view, while you may get regular staking at some period in time, that can change over the course of time because the whole function of staking is pegged to the blockchain difficulty. So how many people are actually staking on the network at any particular time. So the more people who stake, so if your funds level doesn't change in your wallet, but the people on the network staking does change up or down, then you will find that as the more people who are participating in staking, the difficulty level will rise and the number of stake rewards you will get will become less because you're competing against more people. It's just like a little bit like a lottery. That's probably the best analogy. The more people who are in the lottery, the harder it is for you to actually win against that. The others, your chances are less. Versus the fewer people who are there, you have a great. Well, you don't really have a great chance, but in blockchain staking, you do have a better chance of staking blocks as the difficulty comes down. So bear that in mind. Oliver would have to answer to the when are those stakes allocated, but if it's in your principal staking wallet, your main core wallet, then it would be expected as the network difficulty changes, is your period of stake reward will also change.
I absolutely love the fact that that's exactly the answer that I gave him. And then he pointed out that he was talking specifically about the tip bot and that he showed a printout. So it really may be that layer of the tip bot in Telegram and distributing the generated funds. I honestly don't know. But that question about has staking changed made me go into a whole elaborate discussion on how that would be difficult because it involves changing consensus. And of course, we can't do that without. So yes, if anybody's interested in that, either listen back to the video of what John just said or take a look in our dev channel and you can see I beat it to death a little bit more. It's always good to know how staking works. And frankly, you as Reddheads and holders of your own private keys, you want to know as much as possible. We're happy to explain. So if you do have questions along those lines, a lot of projects, and I guess we take this for granted, but a lot of projects aren't especially receptive to people just saying, hey, help, I don't get it. If you have problems or questions or difficulty with the wallet, please reach out to a channel admin, myself, John, on any social channel. We are very accessible, or email info@redcoin.com. A big piece of what this ReddCoin project is, and we would do well to remember, is we're not chasing profit. We're not chasing fame. We're looking to provide an on-ramp for people coming into this space to understand really what's happening. That education, that actual use of crypto, I'm shocked to see that a lot of people don't use crypto when they come into the space because all they hear about really are the new shiny meme coins and DeFi coins and tokens. So part of what we're doing here and part of why it's part of all our responsibilities to share what ReddCoin is and how it works and help people understand is that this is a working system that you can use to monetize your content, to monetize your own value that doesn't depend on another blockchain, another token, another system, and that nobody holds the keys to but you. that's why we really have built the systems that we have to enable folks like yourselves, anybody who's listening, to have that ability to simply do the things you want to do without anybody else's permission or control. Part of the Reddhead mission is to tell people about that and to share and to be involved and to do that, to do those things that make it worthwhile. Another question: how are you guys using the donations? Well, that's a great question. The short answer: donations, depending how you interpret that question or the word donations. We do have our POSV dev fund flow from the blockchain itself. That at this point is worth about $200 or $300 a month, and that goes directly to pay for our Google services for email and domain, things like that. However, what we've just sort of collected is a group of Reddheads spearheaded by some of the folks on our social media team that have decided, you know what, we're going to put all our possible staking rewards in a big pile, and we're going to use it to promote ReddCoin. So they've done that as an effort separate from the dev team itself, and that was done intentionally to really go after the ability to market and promote ReddCoin independently. It's something that, we've kind of hoped would happen organically right along, and to the extent that the people running this are trustworthy and longtime members of the team who sort of step back to a degree. I really like the fact that has happened as the dev team sort of side of this coin. And I would say anybody that wants to get involved actively in promoting it and being an active and loud Reddhead, we need you. We need your social connections and your fans and friends. Speak to Kay, speak to, just ask in the channel if you'd like to be part of that. I think it's a group of about 15 or 20 people at the moment. And the team funds we've committed, I think we said 400,000 ReddCoin, which is a good proportion of what we're earning. That will go into the pot for promotion as well for them to do with as they see appropriate. That may go to pay for influencers. It may go to giveaways or other things like that. If you feel like throwing some of your ReddCoin into that same promotional pot, do feel free. Other than that, it really is a bit of a community effort here. And there are good reasons that we need all of our Reddheads behind us as we go down the road here into the next sort of versions of the wallet. Because as John mentioned, there are features to activate, there are consensus changes to make, and all of that implies that the people who have the stake on the network, remember, we're a proof of stake network, are behind those changes and are aware of them and are running the appropriate versions of wallet to support those changes. So we will be talking endlessly about that in the days and weeks to come, and I guess months to come. It's not as overwhelming, as John mentioned, as the 90% supermajority that we activated the initial change to POSV version 2 with, but it is going to require people working together and sharing the message that is what's happening with our blockchain, that it is evolving and it needs to be a group effort. So just want to put that out there. That, as well as just underlining what John said about testing. The more people we have that can use this wallet and beat it to death and find out where the problems are, in a perfect world, the more people that are skilled enough to help us fix it, the better as well. But the more testers, the more users, all you need to do is find a bug and identify it. Let us know either in the channel or in GitHub. And again, we're trying to accommodate everything that not only the community needs, but the chain itself and the technology, and it's not a small task. So we are unashamedly asking for help from anybody that really wants to see what an operating cryptocurrency project is like. There is no difference between any of you, John or I, except the length of time we've been juggling these particular balls. So, John, did you want to build on any of that ranting?
No, I think you really just were building on where I was. I think the principal part there is, this is a community-driven project. It's the premise around cryptocurrency originally is peer-to-peer, and that's peer-to-peer can be the staking component. It's reviewing code, or not even code, but reviewing the interface. Maybe you see a typo or spit on the face, typo, whatever, or a reference to the coin chain that we forked from originally, since we did come from relayering ReddCoin on top of Bitcoin here. There may be some old references. We're not expecting everybody to be core programmers. Just your participation in spotting deficiencies in checking. 4 eyeballs is better than 2. Having 10 eyeballs would be even better.
Even odd numbers. If you bring an odd number of eyes to things, we won't say anything as long as.
Hey, look, if it is an odd number, I'm not even upset about that, because
Yep. Oh, and one other thing I will say, just because I've mentioned it in the various channels as well, Nova Exchange, the old altcoin exchange, has become under new management and will be reemerging publicly very soon as a home for a number of the legacy projects, including ReddCoin, of course. So we are definitely making headway in what connectivity we can with exchanges who are, after the same vision and goals that ReddCoin and similar projects are. For those folks who really insist, it's got to be the biggest exchanges. When Binance, that one's been around a while. When Kraken, when Coinbase, we continue to struggle. There are very good reasons why we're not on some of those larger exchanges, large price tags, or the fact that Binance has never answered an email productively. Folks like Coinbase, it really is a long slog to get there and prove ourselves as a smaller project. And they want to see community support. They want to see traffic on both our products and on the metrics of our trading. So all of that is something to think about. Same thing goes for Exodus, with whom we've been, dancing on social media and talking back and forth. They want to see active socials and active people and active Reddheads in order to support a project that we all know has something real and unique behind it. That's on you guys more so than it is on the team. So, ladies and gentlemen, let them know where you want ReddCoin and who should support us, and tell them to connect to us. It's not something we can all do ourselves, or all we can do ourselves. And it really is a group effort. I'll say it over and over and over again. So on that note, do we have any other things to talk about? I think we've covered a good range there.
Yeah. For my update this week, I'm pretty happy with where we're at, and I think the next time we catch up, we'll be getting pretty close to pulling the trigger on actually putting it out in the public. So hopefully next time, well, actually, I hope we're going to do this next week as well. Jay, I'd like to get that in the calendar. We try and do these a bit more regularly for everybody. We're reaching that pointy end of getting this out in front of people. So, as we're moving forward, I'm hoping to have a few more updates. Maybe we don't, we just keep them relatively short and concise.
Absolutely. Yes, we definitely will be doing this next week. Same time, same bat channel, as they used to say. I'm too old. Same time, same channel, I think. There might be we might decide to change to Twitter Spaces, depending, but I do think this makes for a nice, intimate little recordable experience. The reason that I was reminded of that, just also want to let people know, if you check our @ReddCoin Twitter feed, or mine personally, you'll see we have an event coming up a week. I think it's a week from today. It might be a week from yesterday, Wednesday or Thursday. I just don't remember. But we will be talking about it more. We've been invited to discuss legacy and historical blockchains, Popcoin, Digibyte, and ReddCoin, and maybe some other visitors. Saw a friend of mine drop into the channel today, and you're, of course, welcome to join as well, but I won't call you out by name. So join us for that. You can find the details. You'll see it in Telegram and from our newly reconstituted social media management team, Twitter, Reddit, Discord. And also, folks, it would not be a terrible thing if you were interacting on some of those channels, especially Reddit, it is a fertile ground that people do see what's going on. But we need actual traffic, not just posting of updates. And, if you think something, say something, and we can respond to be an actual conversation. That's what a social coin is about. I think, yeah, so join us next week. Boy, I am all over the place today. Join us next week, details on our socials, and tune in to the guest thing we'll be doing on Twitter Spaces next week as well as a couple of other things coming up. We have a partner symposium we're trying to put together with all the various ReddCoin partners and some other neat stuff that's happening. Just tease you with that and leave it there. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to listen to my ranting and John's insightful coding developments. And we will be publishing this, as I said, on our various channels. If you do have any questions, thoughts, concerns, anything that we said speaks to you and you want to jump in there as a tester or as a translator, email info@reddcoin.com or just reach out to any one of us on the various socials. We're very accessible and friendly. We tend not to bite. Yes, I'll leave it at that. Thanks very much, and we'll see you guys next week. Guys and girls, I should say. Very inclusive.
Thanks for listening, everybody. It's always a pleasure.